Hello everyone, continuing my series on how to organise a stress-free wedding. I'm here today with Gilly Hallam, or Gilly Lomas as she used to be.
As was.
Whose wedding I photographed, was it 2 years ago?
2012.
Was it?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Already?
No.
It's gone quick.
No, I don't believe you. Anyway, she's been there, done that. Don't know if she bought a t-shirt, did buy a wedding dress. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Life's good.
Lovely. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your wedding, and hopefully you can give a few insights to someone who's in the position of starting to organise theirs.
Yeah, advice is always good.
Tell me to start with, how did you meet Tom?
I met Tom through a blind date.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which a lot of people were surprised about. He's a local person, and I was local, and some of our friends told us we were out on a night out in New Mills, and unfortunately Tom was out on a different night out. He was out on a wake, his grandma's. But there was something that's good come out of that.
Absolutely.
I saw his brother out, and he said, "Oh, I've got a brother, he's nice, he'd be nice for you." So we exchanged numbers, and I texted him the next day and said, "I saw your brother out last night, he was highly entertaining, are you?" And several hours later I got a response, and it said, "Entertaining's my middle name along with Elliot." So there we go.
All you need to know, isn't it?
Yeah, and then we went on dates, and there we go.
The rest is history.
Yes, yeah.
How did he propose to you?
It was Christmas Day 2011, and he'd not long since had an operation, so he wasn't out and about. And one evening he went out, and he was gone for some time, and I remember being cross because he'd gone in my car. He shouldn't have been driving, and he then came back, and it was all mysterious, and I didn't think anything of it. That was 2 weeks before Christmas. Christmas morning, he went downstairs and he got Bucks Fizz, and he made me toast, and he came upstairs and gave it to me, and I thought that was lovely. That's all I expected. I wasn't expecting him to propose. But he then took the breakfast off me quickly, and I'm sort of thinking,
I was going to eat that.
Oh, I'm ready for that now. And he gave me a present. Well, on Christmas Day, we don't ever normally open Christmas presents till later on. And I said, I'll open it later. And he was desperate for me to open this parcel. And it was about this big, and it was quite heavy.
Did you suspect something was up?
I didn't really know what it was, because it wasn't, of course. If it had been a box, might have been a bit more suspicious. But I opened it, and it was a beautiful piece of wood that one of our friends actually made, and it said, "Marry me." And at that moment realised he was on one knee. So that's how we proposed. It was very romantic. Lovely. And slightly out of character. We'd a year previously, I was expecting him to propose, and he'd taken me on a big long walk up a field, and we were looking at drains, and I thought, surely he's not just taking me on a walk to look at these drains at the farm. And I was quite disappointed when I was wet through and nothing came of it. So I then stopped expecting it to happen. And I think that's a really good thing for a lot of people wanting to get married, is when you stop expecting it to happen, it will happen. That's
lovely. I mean, it's much more romantic the way he did it than looking at drains anyway, isn't it?
Yes, most certainly.
But benefits of living on a farm.
Yeah.
So moving on to your wedding, how long before the wedding did you start to organise it?
Well, we got engaged on Christmas Day.
Yeah. And
we got married in October that year.
Well, it's a relatively short time.
Yeah.
Do you think that was enough time?
Yeah. We'd been courting for 9 years.
Right.
So going out for 9 years. And I always said to Tom, if we ever get engaged, I wanted to get married. I didn't want to have a long engagement. Because I think that you can organise things as long as you've got your main things. We wanted a church, a venue, and then the essential things like photographers and just things like flowers you can organise, and you can get them from different places. But certain things, as long as you've got those and you sort of provisionally book, then I think everything else just follows suit.
Yeah.
I feel that was enough time. It was nice.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like you got obsessed with the wedding as well then.
Right, yeah, because I'm sure you think about little else once, you're in the throes of...
You do,
it.
and I do think that you can overdo things. At the end of the day, you're getting married. It's about after the wedding day. Your wedding day is a day. The marriage is for the rest of your life.
Sure. That's a very nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And did you find it easy to stick to a budget?
Yes.
Are you good generally at organising the fine detail of budgets and that sort of thing? Is that?
I like to think so.
Yeah.
We don't have things that we can't afford, so we would always budget for things. But you can always find things relatively reasonable as long as you don't go over the top. But I made a lot of things for the wedding. There were certain things about the wedding that we had to have, and it was worth spending the money. One of the biggest things was a photographer for us.
Well, I'm biased, but I agree with you.
Because once everything's packed up, that's what you've got left.
Yeah.
So I knew roughly what things were going to cost. I've been to 36 weddings, including our own.
Wow.
So I'd got some ideas about weddings and what to do and what not to do. So yeah, I think we would say we stuck to a budget.
Yeah. Well, you sound like with that many weddings under your belt, you were pretty well versed before you started.
You know what you need and what you don't need.
Yeah.
Sometimes all the little details, actually, people come to your wedding and don't notice them. So you just have what you want to have and what you feel is right. You don't need to go over the top on things. You've got to remember what the wedding's for.
Very sensible. Sage.
I am quite sensible when it comes to things like
advice.
that.
Sage-like advice. Seeing as you mentioned it, photography was obviously something that was important for you.
Very important, and of course, in my job, I'm a hairdresser. You talk to lots of different people, and you do lots of different people's hair, and so you then hear recommendations, and that's how we found out about you. Customers had come in and told us, but also I'd seen you elsewhere, and you'd been to the salon.
Well, you cut both mine and my wife's hair now, don't you? Anyway,
yeah. But that's a nice thing with photography is you can see what somebody does. You can see how good they are at their work because you get to see the finished result.
Yeah.
Whereas in some things you don't always know. You hire chair covers. Are they going to come and be clean, and are they all going to arrive on time? Or the flowers that you have, are they going to wilt? Whereas you know what you're going to finish up with.
Absolutely. And what about your dress? I mean, obviously that's quite an important purchase as well. Did you have something specific in mind that you'd thought of all your life, or did you go and try a few on, or how did you choose?
I roughly had an idea of what was going to look right and what was not going to look right. But till you've tried a wedding dress on, you've never tried a dress on like a wedding dress.
Sure.
I'm quite curvy and I'm not a small girl, so I knew there were some dresses that if I put them on, it just wasn't going to suit. So I had a rough idea, but my dress shopping was quite exciting. Mum and I went quite quickly after we got engaged, because if you want to have a dress that is ordered, it usually takes at least 6 months to come into a wedding dress shop.
Does it?
Yes. If you go somewhere, a retail high street shop, sometimes you can get them off the peg and you can get married 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be able to have a bit more choice, so rather than waiting 3 weeks before the wedding, we knew we needed to have a look and get some idea of what I wanted to get.
Yeah.
So I went to quite a few wedding dress shops, and they were all very, very helpful. But the dress that I got the dress shop that we got the dress from in Audley Edge, the ladies were very, very good at the job. It's like you with photography, you have an eye for what looks good. The lady at the wedding dress shop gave me an assistant and said, okay, they asked the budget again, because of course you can go into a shop and they might say, oh right, this is our selection. You could look at a dress that's maybe £100 and they might have dresses that go up into thousands of pounds. And it'd be a shame to go and try one on and know you can't afford it. So we gave a budget, roughly, and she said, right, this is where you need to look.
Mm-hmm.
So she showed, and it was very good because then I wasn't glancing everywhere else, and there was then, it takes out a lot of the pressure of getting that you're looking at a dress and think, oh, I don't know. You've got a smaller selection. It's not over-facing.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
So you had a little bit of steering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they let me pull a few dresses out. The assistant took those into the back, and they weren't pushy at all. None of the dress shops were. That's something that's very good about dress shops. They know you're going to go and try all the dresses on.
Of course.
But then the lady that owned it came and said, when I had a dress on, no, that's not right. And she brought a dress through, and it's the dress that we bought, and said, try this on. She was a very, very smart lady, but she knew her job.
Yeah.
Anyway, I put it on, and it was the right dress.
Yeah, she knew what would work.
And she told me that if she didn't like something, let's get that off and try something different.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
that's
nice.
good.
That's nice. So before we finish, what would your top 3 tips for a couple who are looking to get married? What would you say the 3 most important things when organising a wedding are?
The 3 most important things: stick to a budget.
Right.
Or at least have a budget in mind. If you go somewhere and you don't have one in mind, that's when things don't go to plan. Having a photographer and doing your research, I think that is definitely in the top 3. And just remember, it's about the marriage and not just the wedding day. So be realistic, and remember it's about you and your husband. So I think there.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and also just one more thing. I was given some advice, and I think it's very good advice. Take a step back on your wedding day and have a look at your guests. Have a look at your wedding day. We went outside with you at 8:45, and we had some photographs taken. And when we were outside, we were watching our day. It's almost like we'd been removed. It was lovely.
Yeah.
And we just got to just look at the day, so it's nice. But also spend time with older people, grandparents as well.
That sort of thing.
They like to know that you've seen them, so it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for your time coming down here today to chat to us. It's been really nice. I mean, I've seen you a few times since your wedding. Every time I've given you a haircut anyway, so it's always nice to stay in touch. But I'm sure all the brides out there in internet land will appreciate your tips and advice.
Hopefully, yeah.
So thanks again, and we'll catch up soon.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
Good. There we are. That wasn't too bad, was it?
No, easy.
I cocked up a lot more than you did. In fact, you